electricity. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, has issued a stark warning that the Electricity Company of Ghana is on the verge of bankruptcy due to severe financial difficulties. In a letter addressed to the Presidency, the Energy, the Finance Ministers, and other key stakeholders, PURC Executive Secretary Dr. Ishmael Akab reviewed that the crisis is also affecting the operations of VRA, Gridco, and Bui Power Authority, causing delays in salary payments and challenges in covering administrative costs. We have more for you, but first listen to the Managing Director of ECG, Samuel Dobik Mahama, on the state of affairs at the power company.
Run a business, you need money to run a business. And if you've been given a business where you are to sell and collect, if you don't sell and collect, you can't put anything back in the system. Do not forget, what we sell and collect under the cash waterfall system is how IPPs are paid. It's how the other SOEs, the VRAs, the Gridcos, the PURCs, the Ghana Gas, the GMPCs, everybody has their allocation under cash waterfall. So we have to find a way to close the gap to make the whole system whole. Because we are at the bottom of the food chain, the responsibility is on us to fix the problem. It's a holistic approach. If we do not raise enough money, we will not get enough money to fix it. You know, and the funny thing is that these are not operational expenses. These are capital expenditure. Until ECG is a company that has not been capitalized since 2007. All these new reforms that you've been seeing for the past 2 years since I've been in office have been us trying to be creative in using our operational expenditure to close the gaps. So all we do need is a conversation around the whole table saying that, hey, you cannot be doing this anymore. This is the capital expenditure that needs to be put in. Value this, value that, and let's talk around the big table to find that kind of money to solve some of these technical issues.
Well, Joy News has a copy of the letter, and we'll bring that to you on your screens. But let me bring in John Jinapo, ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee in Parliament. JJ, you're welcome to the post.
Thank you.
So you had time to go through this letter, addressed to the Presidency and, of course, other interest groups regarding this issue of the Electricity Company of Ghana. PURC paints a picture that doesn't look good, and even in this letter makes reference to what took place in Kenya, in Tanzania, and in Uganda, and how they managed to turn around the power company, and appears to suggest that perhaps we should also adopt same strategy. Is this something that you agree?
Absolutely. Let me commend the PURC for being transparent and for sounding the alarm bells. Because as the economic regulator, it is the duty of the economic regulator to sound the alarm bells when things are going wrong. You don't need a soothsayer to tell you that the energy sector is collapsing. You don't need somebody to tell you the energy sector is crumbling. In 2022 alone, ECG posted a loss of over 10 billion. That has to be paid by the shareholder. In this case, that is government. Currently, as we speak, government owes over 1.8 billion from power that has been consumed and not paid for. And this is captured in the cash waterfall mechanism as published by the Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission. Today, due to very bad policy decisions, the gas infrastructure that we claimed when MPP assumed office, that the Mahama-led government left so much gas that they were paying capacity charges on unused gas. The gas is no more adequate to power our thermal plants. And so government is procuring $40 million of light crude oil every month using ECG, most of which has been procured on credit and not paid for. The letter, as you read, tells you that ECG collects only 42% of the required amount to pay the sector.
Right.
How can you have an energy sector where you can't even collect 50% of the required revenue? The Ugandan agreement or Ugandan method that you just mentioned, I led a team when I was deputy minister to Uganda to study the Ugandan concession by UMEME. We went to Kenya we went to Tanzania, we went to India and studied all their ways of collection. They are doing about 98%.
Absolutely.
And that is why we brought on the PDS agreement to reduce the losses and collect 92%. This same government, using their cronies, using their family and friends, attempted to swindle the Republic, only came back and told us that they were presented with a fake bank or insurance guarantee. And today, look at where we find ourselves. Look, it is really, really serious. Whoever assumes office as next government will be assuming a debt-ridden, infrastructure dilapidated, aging equipment in the energy sector, and it will take a lot of effort and a lot of work to bring back the energy sector on its legs, because even in the petroleum sector, petroleum production has declined by more than 30%. Ake has left Ghana. ExxonMobil has left Ghana. ENI is in a tussle with the Republic of Ghana. And so nobody has confidence, even in the petroleum sector. Look, my brother, beyond the politics, this government has decimated the energy sector, and it's really, really terrible.
So JJ, if you support this recommendation for a possible privatization, should it be partial or 100% private-owned entity to bring the kind of efficiency that you want to see in ECG? Mind you, ECG says that since 2007, there's never been capitalization for the entity, and so whatever has been done from 2007 up until now has been through the ingenuity of the workers themselves.
You don't need to capitalize ECG. ECG must make profits. When they make the profit, they will convert that profit into equity. As they convert it to equity, they use that to capitalize the utility. And don't forget, when we were leaving office in 2016, they made a profit of more than 300 million cedis. So they were making some very good profits, and they were on the path of recovery. Gridco also posted profits of about 70 million. VRA was doing well. Almost all the energy sector SOEs were turning around and posting very impressive and significant results. So the problem is not government injecting money. You can't inject money into a leaking basket. The problem is the unnecessary political interference, the corruption that has engulfed the sector. And so you don't need to sell ECG's assets. And let me put on record that President Mahama has assured that he would not sell any of the assets, be it VRA plants, ECG plants, or Gridco's plants. Rather, ECG's problem is billing and collection. And that can be done through a concession. And so by bringing in the private sector to assume the billing and collection element and giving them some KPIs, you would significantly reduce the losses within a short time. And that can have a pass-through effect as far as the transmission and the generation sector is concerned.
The other aspects, I mean, going through this letter is the revelation that because of ECG's, inability to collect as much as, is expected of them, it has led to the situation where the other players in the industry, VRA, BUI, and Gridco, some of them are finding it difficult to even pay salaries of their workers and meet other administrative. I know you are in a very privileged position. How is this particular pronouncement that salary payment is even an issue for some of them?
Yes, it is so serious that Gridco in particular, sometimes for 10 days, they are unable to pay their workers. And they have to go for expensive bank overdrafts. And even with the bank overdraft, they've not been able to service the bank overdraft. And so most banks are now declining to advance such overdrafts to Gridco. So if you're unable to pay even salaries, how are you able to buy consumables, let alone invest in the infrastructure, which requires significant money? Look, ENI is threatening to draw down on the last part of the LC, which is backed by the World Bank. They've drawn more than $300 million, and they are just at the threshold of about 120 million. If they go beyond that threshold, it means that technically Ghana has defaulted. Right from the oil sector to the distribution sector, throughout the energy value chain, every sector is collapsing, every sector is crumbling, every sector is not responding. And I'm telling you for a fact that it is because of the corruption and few people related to the president who've hijacked the energy sector and milking it dry.
So basically, it's about the political interference, and not because we don't have efficient, workforce at ECG, for example.
The workers are hardworking. If you get the right leadership, if you get the right policies, and you put in place the right mechanism, they will deliver the result. Take TOR, for instance. Look at the number of MDs that TOR has had in just 7 years. About 6 MDs. How can they settle? And anytime somebody is removed, you would hear that it's over some controversy with this same cabal of people. I mean, why? We never heard this under President Mahama. President Mahama also had family. So I think that the problem is leadership. And I'm talking of the political leadership. If they get it right, set the right targets, and put in place the right framework, at least we'll begin to see some improvement.
Mr. Before I let you go, final question. This is also basically related. I mean, at the heart of all these money issues is the cash waterfall mechanism. Now, just another correspondence we have intercepted is the PURC call for a review of the cash waterfall mechanism, and they're asking for submissions. They say that they are looking at revenue issues, and they give the breakdown of what is happening, the challenges that they are facing, and goes on to say that following the adoption of the revised CWM, ECG was expected to make monthly payments to the various stakeholders based on approved monthly model. However, since the inception of the revised CWM, ECG has not complied with the guidelines of the new CWM as directed by the President, therefore defeating the principle of fair and equitable revenue allocation to sector players. And the lack of transparency is what is following this. They are asking for, they make reference to the exchange rate discrepancies. Ministry of Finance also reluctance to pay the $10 million monthly top-up obligation under the cash waterfall mechanism. And they are asking for input by Monday in a way to find a solution to this rather, very important matter. I've looked at those. They've sent correspondence. I didn't see, the Mines and Energy Committee, but this is your area. What should be done in this regard?
Even though they didn't copy the Mines and Energy Committee, I have all the documents. And we get every correspondence. For the regulator to throw his hands in the air and sound this alarm is worrying. Firstly, why would the president even unilaterally decide that they would vary the cash waterfall mechanism and come up with a revised one? That should be done by the PURC and not the presidency. And that is the political interference I'm talking about. Even the revised one, ECG is not abiding by the revised one. Since July, they've been doing their own thing, paying for fuel directly, not reporting to the cash waterfall mechanism. And so since July, PURC has not been able to publish the cash waterfall mechanism. And that is why President Mahama has sent a strong warning that on assumption of office, we shall conduct a detailed forensic audit of all these utilities and ensure that we reset everything so that we can work well. Because as it stands, they are not following the cash waterfall mechanism and its tenets. They are not reporting. PURC doesn't even have the figures. And in such level of opacity, in such level where even information is not forthcoming, the first thing about governance is transparency. And if the system is not transparent, you can imagine what will be happening behind the scenes. It's so unfortunate, and I feel very sad that an energy sector which was promising is crumbling today.
Mr. Jampo, what suggestion will you make? I mean, this is something that is very crucial to the PURC.
Well, my quick suggestion is that if we make all the information available to the PURC, it may be too late. We have just about 2 months elections. And so a lot normally would not happen with 2 months elections. But at least let's all have a fair understanding of the state of the energy sector. ECG has not been able to publish its financials in accordance with law and in accordance with the Public Financial Management Act. They should have done that within 3 months in 2024. We are moving into October and they've not published their financials. I think that the true state of the energy sector should be known so that when we assume office, we can deal with the challenges. This idea of sweeping things under the carpet and trying to hide figures will not help anybody.
All right, John Jinapor is ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. And of course, we've been looking at the PURC correspondence to the presidency, demanding certain things are done. Now, fishermen in Dambai are now navigating the Oti River safely thanks to weather updates from the Ghana Meteo Agency. Now, with 3 days forecast and radio warnings, they can plan their trips better and avoid a boat accident that once plagued the area. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has more in our climate focus series.
Ajete Mawuwe, now 53 years, began his fishing career at the tender age of 7. However, he decided to retire from fishing about 10 years ago, putting away his boat and net for good.
7 years ago. After my father's passing at age 7, I was cared for by various people, which led me to learn fishing. I grew up in Kwame Krom and later Yeji, both places with strong winds and waves. In Yeji, the weather was particularly unpredictable, with sudden rainstorms. To survive, we had to act quickly, often abandoning our nets and fleeing to safety, hoping to return another day with the means to replace our lost gear.
Okay, Tafifia radio.
Ajete explains that the traditional weather forecasting methods they relied on were no longer effective due to shift in weather patterns. He shares challenges faced as a result, including close calls and difficult experiences on the water. However, things have improved significantly.
Although radio announcements warn of approaching rainstorms, many fisher folks like myself don't have access to radio sets or ignored the warnings, putting us at risk. However, the introduction of weather forecasts has significantly reduced accidents on the lake, as those who do listen can take necessary precautions.
Okay.
I am Kofi Yamba from Dambai, and I've spent the last 30 years working on this lake. My fishing journey began when I was just 6 years old, learning from my father. Growing up, we didn't have access to radio sets, so our fathers relied on traditional methods to predict weather changes. Whenever they sense a change in weather, we would promptly seek shelter in a nearby community to ensure our safety.
36-year-old Kofi Yamba and his fellow fishermen are no longer taking risks by relying on unpredictable weather conditions. They credit Ghana Meteorological Agency's weather forecast for providing more accurate and reliable information, allowing them to make informed decisions and stay safe on the water.
The weather forecast on the radio has been incredibly helpful to me. For instance, I recall a recent occasion when I was heading to the farm and heard a forecast on the radio warning of heavy rain. I promptly decided to return home, and sure enough, it rained. The timely warning allowed me to avoid getting caught in the downpour. Radio weather forecasts have saved us from water-related disasters. Staying informed with reliable weather information and acting on it can help you stay one step ahead of potential dangers and avoid being caught off guard.
Ebia nsuo bi betimi amuna mfroma nkwa na ebe nsuo na yede ento nti se wote information no na wodi so a mengi di se accident beto se one dia accident betimi aba
In May 2023, a tragic incident occurred at Fana Wiaboma, an island community in the Gar South municipality of the Greater Accra region, when a canoe carrying school children returning from school capsized, resulting in the deaths of at least 9 children. The canoe was being paddled by a 12-year-old student who claimed he could navigate the river safely. In a separate incident in September 2023, 2 fishing canoes capsized while attempting to enter the Volta River, leaving crew members missing. It is less than 2 years since the last canoe accident in Dambai, but residents still remember the devastating loss of a woman's life, although her child was rescued. Kofi shares his account of this heartbreaking event.
Andrew 2 years Quran accident to be crazy wa eno kra e oba na akwada kitua bi. It's
been less than 2 years since the devastating canoe accident happened here, resulting in the tragic death of a woman while her 12-year-old child was fortunate enough to be rescued. I'm unsure if they were unaware of the weather forecast or not, but it's a sobering reminder of the importance of staying informed about weather conditions.
And our TV, I say, and our markers and sue a bit me I am from a bit me about our dear so the back corner there, and no dear azent beba.
So, my name is Israel Tosu, the morning show host on 40 Radio, and we've been doing the weather forecast.
OTFM has been a trustworthy source of weather updates for the fishing community. The host of the morning show, Israel Tosu, emphasizes their commitment to keeping residents informed about weather changes, helping them stay prepared and safe in the face of unpredictable weather patterns.
We've been doing.
All right, so that's a very beautiful report there. I mean, technology helping fisher folks to navigate to bad weather. Well, that's our show for today. There's more stories on myjoyonline.com. NDC to win in 11 regions, MPP to suffer dip in Ashanti. That's one of the survey that just came out. We've got the PURC, we've got former President John Kufuor talking about disability and other matters. Well, folks, that's our show for today. Whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope is profitable. Tomorrow, same time, we'll be here with the Thursday edition of The Pulse. Until then, take care. My name is Elton Brobe. Have a good evening.